Have you ever wondered what games you should keep or you should lose? Find out here at Purge Reviews. Have you ever wondered what games you should sell or you should use? Find out here at Purge Reviews. Find out on our top 10 list what games you cannot miss. Don't forget to subscribe to Purge Reviews.
Today we're looking at Batavia. Now, Batavia is one of a group of Queen games that I kickstarted. I was able to have 10, I think maybe 5 to 10 Queen games coming at a time. And it really gave me a taste of what Queen games are. Now, they may disagree with that, but Queen to me is a lot of games that they're to me like classic board games. They're abstract with a little bit of a theme on there. If you took the theme away, it's still just an abstract game. The theme doesn't make it make sense. But they're usually solid games. I'd always put a Queen game as solid to good. I can't think of one I would say was great. There aren't a lot that I would say are terrible. But most of them kind of fall into solid to good game, a board game. And that's what I got with Batavia. This is actually one of the Queen games that I like the most. So you're going up a little path, and those paths have different countries on them and different goods. And what you'll be doing is you'll be auctioning off every round a set of cards. A die roll will determine how many cards. And when you buy those cards, you get to be first player and you get to move your person first. And you can only play cards if you have majority of at least one country, or by playing cards you'll have a majority. So there's a lot of kind of looking at what happens. Now, certain things, a number of cards played overall by all players will bust a country. So that country cards will be taken out from in front of everybody and discarded, and then you kind of start over counting those again. And that's a way to stop somebody from getting too much of a majority. So there's a lot of questions about how many cards you play. Well, 4 give me majority, but man, 5 or 6, I got all these cards, maybe I should play them. But if you do, you're getting closer to busting. So you want to be ahead, but not ahead too much. And by getting those goods, you place them at the top of the board that will score you victory points. And you only get victory points if you have the majority. If there's no second place, there's no third place, it's first place only on those, which is really, really cutthroat. Otherwise, the theme is just pasted on. There's no rhyme or reason to why you're collecting these. No rhyme and reason. I guess you're kind of trading up there, but it makes no sense. It's an abstract game, but it works as a board game. And these games are always solidly designed. When Queens put a game out, solidly designed, but it might not wow you. And that's where I sit with Batavia. It doesn't wow me. It's one of those games that if I kept, which I would have in the past, it would sit for a long time unplayed. And then I'd finally get around to it and be like, oh, that was fine. But it would not blow me. With the amount of games coming out, the amount of games that I have, it's just not going to stay on my shelf. With that said, I'm purging this game, but I'm also recommending this game, which happens sometimes. It might not fit into my collection, which is what I'm doing here, keep or purge. But I think that a lot of people will like this game. This is a really solid game at the right price, and I think you can have a lot of fun. If somebody pulled this out of con at a friend's house and said, "Wants to play? Do you want to play this game?" I'd probably say yes. Although I don't have enough room. I'm out of room in my house. I got to get rid of some games, and this is going to be one of them that I get rid of. Is Batavia. Here are the components for Batavia. You're going to get a pretty deep box, but it's a very beautiful artwork on this box. I just really like it a lot. I kind of almost wish it was like one picture and come around, but it's a great looking box. Doesn't really tell you what you do in the game per se, but I guess it does a little bit. Your classic Queen rulebook. This one's smaller than some of them. I like this size rulebook. It's very handy to have at the table. List of all the components, which I like. And I like how they do this green, purple when they color code it. I think Queen does a really good job on their rule books. And once again, they knock it out of the park here. I'll show you what the insert looks like, then I'll show you what the board. So with the insert, you can tell it's kind of a generic one. There's a lot of oxygen, so if you're lacking oxygen wherever you're at, you can buy some right here. The money fits okay. The cards, this is really handy, and then just a couple of big things right here. I'm sure this is used on other games. It's not exactly custom, but it's good enough. It's really not that bad. I don't know why the box is so thick compared to you don't really need it. So this is going to be a 6-fold board. It's going to come out. You're going to see what looks like water, but there's going to be hexes. You can barely see them here that go through, and that's really where you'll play the game. This is just like a little score chart up here. Even though you have the scoring across the top for the game itself, this is where you'll put the components. And then this is where you'll keep track of how many cards have been played. And this artwork here is just for fun. The tiles that you have are really good. The pictures on them are not that important. Let me see if I can get a better view of them here.
The rules for Batavia were very, very good in that queen way that they do. They kind of have the columns lined up in the rule book. The rules are very clear. The theme doesn't attach to the rules very much, so it's very much, this is what you're looking at, and you have to remember these rules. There aren't a lot of exceptions or small rules. Queen's games are really good about that. So the rule book was very good.
What's really going to be important on these is the resource at the top and the flag. And the rest of this is just aesthetics, nothing important. So once again, you want to look at the good that's on it. At this point, the marijuana leaf and the flag at the bottom. So that's what you're looking at when you look at these different tiles. And that's all that will matter. The rest of it's just there for aesthetics. You're going to get paper money. Woohoo! Terrible. You're going to get these little small cards, which will have the flags on them. That's all they are. They're all the same. They just have a different flag on them. And they're nice. There's a little small, you're used to seeing with Queen games or Fantasy Flight. And the rest of the major components, you'll have one of these that you will sticker yourself. Boo! That has each of the flags on it. And these will just represent who has majority. There's a little neat score tracker. You're going to have these little cubes that you will sticker yourself, which we'll use on this board just to track how many cards have been played. You have a ship, first player marker. And then you're going to have this really neat cannon, if you can see that. That will be used to track the total cards that are in play. And they're nice enough to give you a double set. So there's some extra tokens you don't need here, or you can double up on the box if you want to. You will get one kind of wooden die, I guess it is. You can see on this one, this sticker is not taking to it, so it will need to be re-stickered, so maybe that's why we have extras. And then you'll have these. These are just counters. They come in different colors. They're all the same. I guess they're supposed to kind of look like chest, maybe? I don't know. But these are used to track once you score up in those countries, just to track it, and they'll be placed up here. And they're real nice. Very, very, very thick wood on that. Everything is really good. It fits in the box. I have no problems. Plenty of space for an expansion, although I doubt you'll ever see one. That's the components. Very good job. The artwork is phenomenal. This is really kind of an abstract game, but Queen does a really good job, as they always do. So let me show you how to play this game a little bit. Let me start with the card. So what somebody's going to do at the beginning of their turn, whoever the first player is, roll the dice. And then they'll take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards off the top of the deck. You will lay these cards out so everybody can see them, and then you will bid for these cards. And you'll be bidding with money, paper money. So whoever has the highest bid will become first player, and you'll get the first player market, and you will get all of the cards. And these are the only cards that will be given out this round. So that's phase 1. Phase 2, starting with the person who won the auction, and going clockwise, you can play cards down in front of you. Now, the simple rules of this is you can play as many cards as you want, as long as you have at least the majority in one type. So the type would be the country. So as long as I have majority in every other player, then I can play as many cards as I want. Now, I can also play cards if I don't have any majority, if by playing the cards, I would then get majority. So that's the only way I can play cards. If not, I can't play any cards, and I have to wait the next turn. So if I play cards, and I have the majority in something, let's say I had the majority in this country, I would then get this token. And all this token does is signify to everybody that it's an easy reference to say I have majority in this. If somebody else gets majority or ties me, then this would go away. At the end of the game, you get 2 points for each one of these that you have. Now, then what I will do, and I'm just going to show you quickly here, what I would do is I would take my worker, and I didn't fill the whole board with tiles, there'd be a whole bunch. I can then move my worker to the next available tile of any country that I have majority in. So remember I said I have majority in this country. I would go here, and I would have these goods, and I would take one of my markers, and I would go up here to the top, and I would find that good, and I would cover up that country. Okay? Now there's only one tile per good with a country, so there's never going to be more. So let me kind of show you what's happening up here at the top. This is the majority of the game. So what we have here, I'll just show you one good, and they all work the same, is whoever has the majority of markers on this at the end of the game will get 15 points. Now that 7 is not second place. I'll throw you off a little bit. That second is if you tie. I don't know why they just didn't say round down, because they all just, you can see here, just half. But so be it. They put it on the board. It's nice. I'm not complaining. But it's confusing. A lot of times when you first look at it, you think, oh, 15 for first, 7 for second. No, it's all or nothing. And you'll be doing that for all the tiles and goods that you get. And that's really the majority of how the game works. Now, what you have down here is really just a tracker. So if I had, I'll just use this country for instance. If I had 4 of these cards out, I'd put this on the 4. And if somebody else played 5, then we move this up to 9. So all this does is an easy tracker, so you don't have to keep counting how many cards everybody has. So somebody plays cards, every country has one of these boxes, so you just move it up. Now the canon is the sum of all cards in play. Which one? These are just what country they're in play. This is all. And what's interesting, this is a 3-player game. This is 4 or 5. And when it hits that marker, 21 in the 3-player and 25, then whatever country has the majority, in this case this one, whoever owns cards of this country, it now has to be discarded. So this would come back down to 0. Anybody who had those cards are discarded, and then it's a new majority, and you can kind of play those cards more easily. So it's really a push and a pull about, well, I have a lot of these in my hand, but do I really want to play a lot? Because I don't want it to become the majority of all cards played, because when the cannon hits, they will be discarded, and I'll lose that advantage. So sometimes you'll just play a bunch of these cards because you want it to bust, so whoever's in the lead will lose this, or maybe they're trying to steal what card you want because they'll also lose majority. So really what you're doing is auctioning, buying those cards to move and hopefully get majority in whatever you're trying to pick up, because you don't always want every tile. You want specifically what you're going to win. And you're not going to win all of those majorities up there. So what you want to do is try to get the ones that will score the most. Now these over here score 16, and the lowest one scores 10. So this one probably more highly contested than this one theoretically. And it's just a card play. It's a really easy game to play. It's hard to tell exactly how you're scoring, what you're doing, how things are going to play out. You don't feel like you have a lot of control over what you're doing, because other people can screw you pretty easily, especially in a 4 or 5 player game. There's a lot of turns before it gets back to you. But there is some control, and it's kind of neat how it all scores. And it's a really, really fun game. So that's kind of how Batavia plays. So every round you auction off cards. That player becomes first player. He'll play cards first. You have majority. And then you can move your guy to any tile with a country that you have majority in, and you get to place up those goods, hopefully getting area majority. And if you do, by the end of the game, then you score those points. Okay? That's Batavia.
who should buy this game? I would recommend this game for a family. I'd recommend this game for gamers who just like your classic board games, who just like a game. The theme isn't as important. The theme attaching to the mechanics isn't as important, although it's not an abstract. Well, it sort of is an abstract, but there's a theme attached to it. It's kind of like a light Euro where you're just trying to score points, you're doing this, and it has auctions. So auctions are kind of like out of style right now. This is the polyester suit of board gaming, right? The auctions, and they're in this game. What I find interesting about the auction is it determines first player also. So whoever wins the auction not only gets the benefit of the cards, but also gets to go first. And sometimes you might not want the card, but you really need to go first because you need to grab this to get majority. So there's a lot of things that play into that and very few rules. So Batavia accomplished that. So if that sounds enticing to you, I would tell you to get it. I'm going to purge it just for a lack of space. If I had unlimited space, this is probably what I would keep around, so I would like to play it again. But I don't think it's anything that I would ask to play. And that's why I'm going to go ahead and purge it.